Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to dive deep into a critical analysis of Saadat Hasan Manto's Toba Tek Singh. It's truly one of the most powerful and gut-wrenching stories ever written about the 1947 partition of India. We're going to look at it as a brilliant piece of political satire and see how Manto uses the idea of madness to ask a terrifying question. What if the sane world is actually the one that's gone completely insane?
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the absolutely bizarre government decision that kicks this whole story off. Then, we'll see how the asylum itself becomes a perfect, tiny reflection of the entire subcontinent. We'll get into some personal stories of displacement, follow our main character on his desperate search for home, and then unpack the devastating finale before wrapping up with Manto's lasting message.
So let's start with the story's basic premise. It's an event so illogical, so completely detached from any kind of human reason, that it immediately sets this deeply satirical tone. It makes you wonder from page one, who are the real lunatics here?
I mean, just think about that for a second. How do you actually do that? That was the agonizing question at the heart of the 1947 partition. It was never just about drawing a line on a map. It was about slicing through identities, through families, through lifetimes of history. And Manto grabs this question and just pushes it to its most absurd extreme.
And here's the thing that makes this story so incredibly powerful. Manchuri didn't make this up. His satire is rooted in a real, unbelievably absurd bureaucratic decision. A few years after the partition, the governments of India and Pakistan actually decided that just like prisoners of war, the inmates of mental asylums should be swapped based on their religion.
And this is where the satire gets really sharp. Manto points out that this wasn't some snap decision. No, this was the result of many conferences of important officials. See the logic? Muslim inmates in India go to Pakistan, Hindu and Sikh inmates in Pakistan come to India. They even worked out the date of the exchange. It's this cold, clinical, procedural approach to something so fundamentally insane that is the absolute core of Manto's critique.
So this completely bonkers decision becomes the perfect foundation for the story's central metaphor. Manto brilliantly takes the closed-off, chaotic world of the Lahore asylum and uses it as a mirror for the larger madness that had just swallowed the entire subcontinent.
Now, to really get what Manto is doing, we have to be clear on what political satire is. He isn't just telling a sad story for the sake of it. He's using irony, he's using exaggeration, this idea of exchanging madmen, to expose the sheer foolishness and the cruelty of the people in power who ripped a country in two.
This is Manto's genius move right here. The asylum becomes a microcosm, a little snow globe version of the entire nation. Inside these walls, the people who are officially labeled mad are grappling with the exact same questions of identity, home, and loss as millions of supposedly sane people on the outside. Their confusion, in a strange way, becomes the only sane response to a world that no longer makes any sense.
You see, the inmates' questions are the questions everyone was asking. Where is Pakistan? Nobody really knows. Their confusion isn't madness. It's a completely logical reaction to having your reality yanked out from under you. And that one man who climbs a tree and says he doesn't want to live in India or Pakistan, he's making an incredibly powerful political statement, a total rejection of this false choice he's being forced to make.
Okay, so we've looked at the big picture. Now let's zoom in a little bit on the characters themselves. Manto fills this asylum with these incredible figures who aren't just random lunatics. They are allegories. They each represent a different way that ordinary people were broken by partition.
Manto gives us this absolutely devastating before and after snapshot. On one side, you have the before, the world of pre-partition harmony. We see it in this touching visit from Fazl-Din, a Muslim friend who still cares deeply for his Sikh neighbors. But then, Manto shows us the after, the new political poison. Suddenly, you've got one inmate declaring he's Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, and another screaming that he's Master Tara Singh, a Sikh leader. The national conflict has been perfectly, almost comically, recreated inside the asylum, forcing the guards to lock them up separately. It shows just how deep this poison has seeped into every corner of society.
And perhaps the most heartbreaking example of this personal tragedy is the story of the Hindu lawyer from Lahore. He'd gone mad over a failed romance, but partition adds this whole new political layer to his madness. Now he just rages against the leaders who drew a line on a map that turned his beloved into an Indian and him into a Pakistani, separating them forever.
But here's the twist, the part that shows just how broken everything had become. You'd think he'd be thrilled, right? He gets to go to India, where his beloved is, but he refuses. He says his law practices in Lahore and it won't do well in Amritsar.
Even in his madness, he's clinging to the practical reality of his life. It shows that partition didn't just separate people. It completely shattered the very ideas of home, work, and identity.
And all of this brings us to the very soul of the story, the protagonist, Bishan Singh. His entire existence, his whole being, gets boiled down to one single, relentless, agonizing question. A question that really represents the cry of millions who were suddenly made homeless in their own homes.
Now, this detail is absolutely critical. His actual name is Bishan Singh, but nobody calls him that. Everyone calls him Toba Tek Singh. The man and the place have become one and the same. His identity is his land, his home. So when politicians partition that land, it's not a political act for him. It's a direct assault on his very soul. And this becomes his mantra, his obsession. He asks everyone he sees, the guards, the other inmates, anyone who will listen. It's this desperate, frantic search for a fixed point, for a stable identity, in a world that has been made completely meaningless by a line on a map.
And when he's not asking that one question, he stands there muttering this string of, well, total gibberish. Many critics believe this nonsensical language is Manto's way of mirroring the bureaucratic and political jargon that sealed everyone's fate. It's a language that's arbitrary, that makes no sense, just like the decisions being made by the people in charge.
Okay, so everything has been building towards this. Bishan Singh's personal, internal quest for his home is about to slam headfirst into the cold, physical reality of the brand new border at Wagah.
After all this time, he finally gets his answer. His home, Toba Tek Singh, is in Pakistan, but he's a Sikh. He is being sent to India. And at that moment of truth, when faced with this impossible choice, he just stops. He refuses to move. He won't go forward to India, which is now a foreign country, and he can't go back to his home, which has also become a foreign country.
And you can just see the tragic end of his search. He lets out this terrible scream and collapses. Not in India and not in Pakistan. He falls on that thin, desolate strip of earth that lies between the two new countries. It's just a devastating image of being caught between two worlds and belonging to neither. And with that final, chilling line, Manto delivers his masterstroke. Bishan Singh, the man, dies, and in his place lies Toba Tek Singh, the place. He dies in no man's land, and in doing so, he symbolically rejects the very borders that destroyed him. He claims this nameless piece of dirt as his only true home.
So after all of that, what's the big takeaway? What is Manto's final enduring point? Let's quickly recap how all these pieces come together to create this timeless critique of blind nationalism and the real human cost to politics.
Honestly, Toba Tek Singh is just a masterclass in political satire. Through the asylum, Manto shows the absolute absurdity of dividing people by religion. Through Bishan Singh's tragedy, he shows the deep confusion and pain that politics can inflict on ordinary people. And in the end, his death isn't just a death. It is a powerful, symbolic rejection of the entire idea of partition.
And this is the question Manto leaves us with. It's a question that really forces us to look at the national identities that we so often take for granted. If a line drawn by politicians can just wipe out a person's entire sense of belonging, then what does home really mean? It's a question that was urgent in 1947, and you know what? It's just as urgent today.